Welcome to Lesson 3, Reflections. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the second type of transformation called a reflection or a flip. In a reflection or a flip, we see a mirror image of the original shape. There is always a line of reflection. This is where the mirror would be. Let's look at an example. So we're going to do a reflection example here by starting off with our original shape, which is a rectangle. Next, we need to draw a line of reflection. So our line of reflection is 1 square to the right of a rectangle. Next, just to make it easier, we're going to color code our vertices. So each vertex has a different color. So our blue vertex here is 1 space to the left of the line of reflection. So it's going to go directly across 1 space to the right of the line of reflection. So it ends up being over here. Same thing with our purple vertex. It's going to be directly across in this position over here. Our green vertex is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the left of the line of reflection. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right. Just like that. And same thing with our orange vertex, directly across, 5 spaces to the right. So now that we've drawn all 4 vertices, we are ready to connect them to draw our reflected image. So there is our completed reflection or flip. If you imagine it being a flip, it's as if we picked up the rectangle off the page and flipped it over to the other side. So these 2 vertices here, the orange and green, had the furthest to travel to here, and the blue and purple only had a short distance to travel since they are already close to that line of reflection. Let's look at one more example together. So here we see our original shape, which in this case is a quadrilateral. So to begin with, before we do our reflection, we need to have a line of reflection. So the line of reflection can be just about anywhere. Our line of reflection here happens to be 1 square to the right of the point or the vertex of our quadrilateral that is furthest to the right. So let's take a look at what the reflected image would look like. So here is the reflected image. So if we take this vertex over here, we notice that this vertex is 1 square to the left of the line of reflection, and so the reflected image is going to be 1 square to the right of the line of reflection. And if we look at all the other vertices on our quadrilateral, you'll notice the same thing. So each vertex is the same distance from the line of reflection. So this vertex is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the line of reflection, so its image will be 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the right. This vertex up here is 1, 2 squares to the left, so its reflected image is going to be 1, 2 to the right. Sometimes in questions you may see that the line of reflection is diagonal, like in this example. This makes it a little bit more challenging, but you can still do your reflections. So let's take a look at each vertex one at a time. So this vertex, which has the letter T on it, goes across. See how it's 1 space diagonally from the line of reflection? So it's going to be 1 space diagonally this way on the other side of the line of reflection. The one thing we have to remember is that this dotted line that shows how it's traveled to its reflected image makes a 90-degree angle with the line of reflection. Let's look at vertex U. So vertex U has also gone 1 space diagonally, and the line that it's traveled on makes a 90-degree angle with the line of reflection. And finally, for vertex S was 1, 2, 3.5 diagonal spaces away from the line of reflection. So its reflected, or its image vertex, will be 1, 2, 3.5 spaces away from the line of reflection. And again, 90-degree angle here between the line it traveled on and the line of reflection. A tool that's going to help us with reflections is called a Mira or a Mira. So the way I use a Mira is I have an original shape drawn here on my graph paper. I have a line of reflection, and I simply place the Mira down along my line of reflection, and when I look into the Mira, I faintly see the reflected image on the other side. So while I'm looking on this side of the Mira, I would put my hand with my pencil on the other side, and I would carefully trace along that image that I see in the reflection. And when I lift the Mira up, I will see that I have the reflected image on the other side, just like this. So this is how I reach in behind the Mira and trace the reflection I see. And when I lift the Mira up, this is my reflected image. So the Mira is very helpful in helping me to create reflections or flips. And I can count the squares from the line of reflection, and I'll see that each vertex has moved exactly the right amount to the opposite side of the line of reflection. So have fun with your own reflections and flips. Please watch the video again if you need help.